ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ. Welcome to this segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. Our recitation, Gujri Mahalla Panjama, composition of the fifth Nanak. The recitation. Tu data ji sabna ka basu mere man mahi, चरण कमल रिद माहे समाए, तह परम अंधेरा नाही. ठाकुर जा सिमरा तू ताही, कर कृपा सर्व प्रतिपालक प्रभ को सदा सालाही. ठाकुर जा सिमरा तू ताही, कर कृपा सर्व प्रतिपालक प्रभ को सदा सलाही. रहाओ सास सास तेरा नाम समारो, तुम ही को प्रभ आही. नानक टेक भई करते की, हो आस बिडाणी लाही. सास सास तेरा नाम समारो, तुम ही को प्रभ आही. नानक टेक भई करते की, हो आस बिडाणी लाही. The central theme that we encounter in this short passage is that of benevolence. Pritapalak, sustainer, to sustain, to nurture. In the Rahau, Guruji says, it is in the hands of benevolence, Kar Kirpa, that sustains and nurtures all life, Sarab Pritapalak. It is indeed the master. It is a fundamental quality of the master to be benevolent. And it is present everywhere. So whenever, wherever it is invoked, it will be found present. Ja simra tu tahi. Whenever I recall you or remember you, you're there. You're there. Kar kirpa, the benevolence of your hands. You nurture everything, Pritapalak. So, benevolence is a fundamental virtue that we are being advised to cultivate as part of our moral character. And this is a virtue that's universal. It cuts across religious boundaries, and essentially, it involves the embodiment of compassion, kindness, generosity, giving. And across spiritual traditions, benevolence, kindness, charity, these are qualities that are seen to be essential for spiritual growth and just as essential for building harmonious communities. So different communities have different ways of expressing this charity. It could be charity, selfless service, seva in Sikhi, cultivation of loving kindness towards your neighbors. That's the whole gist of this passage. So he begins by saying, Tu data Jia Sabhana ka basoh mere man mahi, charan kamal rid mahe samaye, तह परम अंधेरा nahi. You, tu means you, is being addressed as you. Now, when you address somebody as you, it signifies intimacy with some entity, right? So, tu data, you, the provider and sustainer of all living things, living beings, tu datta ji sabna ka, you are present in my mind. Baso mere man mahi. You are present Because the sustainer, as a sustainer, it is present in all living beings. So therefore, it is present within me as well. And the Guru says, when the impression of your lotus feet are made, when the impress of your lotus feet is made in the inner sanctum of the mind, Charana Kamala Riddhamahe Samai. So what does it mean? Lotus feet simply means wisdom. So this wisdom, the impression of this wisdom, or in other words, since the self was addressed as you, it is saying your footprint is impressed in the deepest layers of my mind, in the inner sanctum of my mind that is called Hriday, heart. It is the core of an individual, the deepest core, the inner sanctum of the mind, which is intuitive in nature. So when I realize or recognize the footprints of your wisdom, in other words, when the virtues that express your wisdom become visible to me, when I reflect on you, then my self-delusion disappears. Tah param andhera nahi. So you see, the delusion that we are under is that we are somehow separate islands of existence. And when you have that sort of feeling, there is no way that you're going to be generous to your neighbor. In fact, you might want to plunder or steal or rob or forcibly snatch what your neighbor has, because you are driven by the instinct for survival and the instinct for acquisitiveness, avarice. So that's the delusion. So the Guru is saying, when I see or embody your wisdom as a virtue, then I don't have that illusion. I realize that we are all interconnected. And that is why we need to cultivate benevolence. And in conclusion, saas tera naam samaro. So wisdom is expressed as virtues, and wisdom is self-knowledge, knowing oneself. So you have to become mindful of the self, mindful of the wisdom that is innate to us. Prab, tum hi ko prab ahi. So trust yourself, it is saying, the S, the har self, not the ego self. The ego self is the delusion. So you have to flip this around. So here Nanak is saying, Nanak tek bhai karte ki hor aas bidani lahi. I have entrusted myself to this wisdom. And in doing so, I have freed myself from the illusion of the ego and the illusion of dependence from others. And what do? I seek its counsel at all times. वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह।